Hello, math students. Welcome back to Module 3 called Rational Numbers. This is Lesson 3, and it is called Rational Numbers on a Number Line. And our goal for today we will use the number line to find rational numbers. So for the last couple of lessons, we've been spending a lot of time focusing on the use of a number line. We've learned about positive and negative numbers. We've learned about integers. Integers are positive and negative numbers. And today we're going to add some more knowledge of what the different types of numbers are that make up rational numbers. So our goal is today we will use the number line to find rational numbers. The question that I want you to be thinking about during this lesson is, where is an improper fraction on a number line? So remember that an improper fraction means that the numerator is larger than the denominator. So just as a little hint to help you thinking is, where would 10 thirds be on a number line? Because this is considered an improper fraction because the numerator is greater than the denominator. So hopefully by the end of the lesson we'll be able to come back and find that. So in the Things to Know section, this lesson is really important because it's giving you information about specific vocabulary words that you really need to know and understand. So the first vocabulary word that I need you to focus on is that word rational number. A rational number is any number that can be expressed as a fraction. So this right here is a rational number because this is expressed as a fraction. Another example of a rational number could be the number 1/2 because 1/2 is written as a fraction. Another number that could be written as expressed as a fraction is you could actually have 23 firsts. And all three of these are different kinds of rational numbers because they can all be expressed as a fraction or written as a fraction. So rational numbers are any numbers that can be expressed as a fraction or written as a fraction. Here's three examples of that, okay? An integer is any positive or negative number that is not a fraction or a decimal. So integers kind of narrow our availability of what numbers that they could be, and what it is it's any positive or negative number that is not a fraction or a decimal. Okay, so those are your integers. All right, the next one says whole number, okay, and so a whole number is any positive number that is whole. It also includes 0. So a whole number is another option of what we need to know about. So whole number, let me make sure this pen works, and it kind of does, so we'll see if we have to change it. Okay, and then counting numbers is the fourth one that we need to know about, and counting numbers are any positive whole numbers that represents items being counted. Any positive whole number that represents items being counted. So if I had these pens and I handed them to you, what a counting number is how would you count them? Would we start counting like this? So let me scoop them up and say, okay, 0, 1. Is that how we count? No, we don't. Mrs. Nelson, you're crazy. That is not how we count. How we count is we count with one-to-one correlation. So this is 1 pen, 1, 2 pens, 2, 3 pens, okay, and 4 pens. So the counting numbers actually start with the number 1 because it's a one-to-one correlation. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't ever hand a pen to you and say 0 because that would mean I'm handing you nothing. I'm actually handing you 1. So counting numbers are any positive whole number that represents items being counting. And the other thing that you need to remember about counting numbers is they start at the number 1 because there's that one-to-one correlation, okay? Whole numbers included 0. Counting numbers do not include 0. They start at 1. Okay, now some of you are sitting here going, okay, so that's interesting, but what do I need to know about this? Well, what you need to know about this is there is a way for us to visualize these different kinds of numbers because you're responsible for knowing all of the different types. So let's go back up to our very first one, and it says a rational number is any number that can be expressed as a fraction. So on my number line, I am going to locate some numbers. Here is one that I want to locate. Okay, here is another that I would like to locate. Here is another that I would like to locate. Here is another that I would like to locate, and here is another that I would like to locate right here. Okay, so now in order to test to see if those are rational numbers, the definition is any number that can be expressed as a fraction. Well, if we're looking at this number line and we're reading it, this number line and this point right here would be start at 0 always to count, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and halfway through -6 and -7. So this one actually would be -6.5, right? So that's a decimal, which is fine. Decimals are known as rational numbers. Can this be written as a fraction? Well, we absolutely can write this as a fraction. This would actually be -6 1/2. So did we just write that as a fraction? And the answer is yes. So this is a rational number. Okay, now let's try this one. This one says -3. Can you write -3 as a fraction? And the answer is yes, because you would just write -3 over 1. Okay, and then this one is 0. And can 0 be written as a fraction? Well, let's try it. 0 divided by 1. 0 divided by 1 is still 0. So yes, it can be written as a fraction. Now let's do this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/2. So this is 5 1/2. But writing that as a fraction would be 5 1/2. So that's writing it as a fraction, so it works. And then this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I would say 7.75, or it could be 7 3/4. So all of these examples that I have put on this number line, and I chose blue for a reason, they are rational numbers. So all of these right here are rational numbers. And rational numbers, the definition of a rational number is any number that can be written as a fraction. So rational numbers are any numbers that can be written as a fraction. So that's what you see on here. The next thing that I have to show you on the number line is any positive or negative number that is not a fraction or a decimal. So what we do for knowing the integers is all of these numbers that you see written on the number line, printed out, all of these are integers because they're all positive or negative whole numbers. So the thing you have to remember about an integer is it's any number that is a whole number, positive or negative, is an integer. The key to understanding integers is they cannot be fractions or decimals. They have to be whole numbers. And the other thing that is key for understanding integers is they can only be positive or negative whole numbers. So that's what makes the integers. So I'm circling them in green, and I drew a green arrow because we underlined integer with green so that hopefully you can remember what it means. Okay, the next one that we had to look at was whole numbers. Whole numbers are kind of interesting because all they are is any whole number that is positive. So they only go to the right on the number line. So positive whole numbers are what we call integers. So positive whole numbers. So all of the numbers that start at 0, 0 is considered a whole number. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they also are only whole numbers. Okay, whole numbers cannot be fractions. They cannot be decimals because that would not make them whole. So whole numbers have to be the complete full number with no fractions or decimals. And they all have to be positive. Okay, and then the last one that we were talking about is counting numbers. And counting numbers, just like I showed you with the examples of pens, they start at 1 because when you have one-to-one correlation in counting, you never hand somebody something and say 0. You never hand somebody something and say -8. Okay? You actually count what you're giving them. So if I give you this stick, you have 1 stick. Then if I give you this stick, you have 2 sticks. If I give you this stick, then you have 3 sticks. So counting numbers do exactly what the name is. They count what is available. So any positive whole number that represents the items being counted. That's what a counting number is. So we have 4 different types of numbers that you need to know. These are rational. Notice the color. I chose the color on purpose. So these are rational numbers. Okay. All of these numbers on the number line that are circled in green are known as your integers. Remember, not integers. We don't call them integers. We call them integers. Okay? And then the next type that we have are whole numbers. And remember, whole numbers have no fractions, no decimals. They're complete whole numbers. Okay? And then the last kind that we have are the counting numbers. And the counting numbers are what we use to actually count. Okay? So those are the 4 types of numbers. There are more, but that's all I want you to be responsible for right now. So you need to know that all of these numbers, integers, whole numbers, counting numbers, are all rational numbers. Why are they all rational numbers? Because any of these numbers on this number line can be written as a fraction. Any of them. We proved that with -3. Okay, we proved that with 0. Any of these numbers on this number line can be written as a fraction. Okay? Integers are rational numbers. Whole numbers are rational numbers. Counting numbers are rational numbers. So it's almost like rational numbers is the box and all the other types fit in. Okay? And so that's another way you can think of it. Our goal for today we will use the number line to find rational numbers. Remember, rational numbers are any numbers that can be written as a fraction. Okay? The question that you were supposed to think about was, where is an improper fraction on a number line? Well, if I had to find 10/3 on the number line, where would 10/3 be? Well, I know that 3 goes into 10 3 times, so it's got to be somewhere around the 3, and then it goes 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 forever because it's 1/3 if you did a decimal point. So the answer, if you plug that into a calculator, 10 divided by 3, you would get an answer of 3.333 forever. But if you write it as a fraction, it would be 3 1/3. So 3 1/3, if we were to locate that on the number line, I'm trying to find a color we haven't used, 3 1/3 would sit right about here. And I don't know if you can see that because I chose yellow, and yellow is invisible apparently. So let me try a different color. 3 1/3 is about right here. So this would be 10/3. So going back to your question, where is an improper fraction on a number line? It's whatever the answer would simplify to. Okay, and 10/3 simplifies to 3 1/3, so it would sit about there. All right? Okay, kiddos, that's all I have for you in this lesson. Talk to you soon. Bye.